this. No way!
Hello and welcome back to episode 5 of the Cookie Jar Podcast. I am Tom Mills and I'm joined by Sam Williams.
Hello.
Cal Wing.
Hello.
Hi, Carl.
How are we all doing?
And Sabus Fitzpatrick is not here today. He has
South
decided to go
Africa.
on holiday.
Training camp.
Not particularly committed. But today we are going to be talking about a little bit about the WGC in Mexico. We're going to be talking about the municipals that have been closing up in Scotland. And we're going to be discussing some of the comments that have come out from Brooks Koepka about Patrick Reed. Just before we go on, I think we should start by saying you can contact us on Cookie Jar Podcast or Cookie Jar Golf on Twitter and Instagram. And thank you to everybody who's been tuning in, listening. We've had people from all around the world, and it's been really, really good.
I can't believe it. We had people dialing in from everywhere.
Oh, thank you for the feedback.
Yeah,
It's
the feedback's been good. Like, people are enjoying it.
very positive.
People not liking your chat so much, Cal. People didn't like that.
One episode in. It's,
We've
Just
apologised.
started to learn.
just started.
But you're going to get better. And the thing is, this is never a perfect art. So, keep trying.
Absolutely.
Yeah, please do
It's
get in
not
contact.
not many have liked my chat, but it's not for everyone.
It's nuts, though, when you look at it. Because this system tells you where they're listening from. So we've got people like Belgium, Germany, Ireland. Good morning to our friends in Australia. Got our friends the other side across the pond. I mean, pretty incredible stuff.
Some posh people in Monaco.
Got a few in Monaco.
So everything's looking good. We
Couple of
just need to keep it
super
up.
fans.
Make sure you tell your friends. But today, or in the last few weeks, there's been this Patrick Reed gate, which seems to be around forever.
To be fair, it's fair to say we didn't talk about this when we started out because whilst it's piss poor form, it felt like yesterday's news, but it's just such a hangover, isn't it?
This doesn't seem to be going anywhere.
I think it's just been such a shock that I think it will take a while to go away, really. And it's just been such bad news that it's just going to linger around.
But what we're going to do is we're going to play a little extract from what Brooks Koepka said about Patrick Reed. Bearing in mind they are teammates for the Ryder Cup and the President's Cup. They played a lot of golf together. And this is what he had to say.
Was he cheating?
Yeah, I think yeah. I mean, I don't know what he was doing, playing, building sandcastles in the sand, but you know where your club is. I mean, I took 3 months off, and I can promise you, I know if I touch sand. I don't think it's one of those things where if you look at the video, obviously he grazes his hand twice, and then he still chops down on it. I guess, the Astros are going through that right now. Jim Crane said it, when he got asked, is it cheating? And he said, no, we just, broke the rules. So, I know it's one of those things where I don't think if you play the game, you understand the rules, you understand, the integrity that goes on. And I mean, there's no room for it. I think a lot of times too, I think guys, and I'll be honest, I've seen it a couple times where it's like, whoa, I've seen some big names be like, whoa, that's not right. And I've bit my tongue. A lot of times TV, you can't hide from the cameras and everything. And, we bite our tongue a lot. It's one of those things, guys have hit it in the rough and all of a sudden they've got 3-wood out and they're down there patting it down. It's interesting. It goes on a little bit more than people think.
That is absolutely scathing.
Bad, isn't it? I mean, what is interesting, I suppose, is that you're hearing from him that it's going on, but they are not calling it.
Oh, I think you look at the Reed thing. I think the first thing's it's incredible. It's like, it just rolls off him. Like, it doesn't seem to faze him. Like, the guy got on a plane the next, I think straight after on the Sunday, they all flew massive charter down to Australia for the President's Cup, didn't they? And, reports wasn't even mentioned. It's in the news. The fact that literally every commentator now on TV, as soon as he's hitting the shot, they're saying the same thing over and over again. Eventually, fuck, that's going to get in your head, isn't it?
The thing that really shocks me is just the lack of punishment from the PGA Tour. They've just sort of brushed it over and shrugged their shoulders, and that's it. I mean, just sort of golf fans and new golfers around the world, it's just not right. It doesn't
It's the
look
first
great.
thing you're taught, right, as a kid. I mean, you know, it's a game of honesty above all else. I mean, this is not the same as football, or for our listeners in America, soccer. You know, this is not the same where, you know, people take a dive in the box. This is just unacceptable. And, you know, I think, you know, it's blatantly obvious to anyone who plays the game that you can't drag sand back twice, not realise the friction. I mean,
The first thing you do when you get into a bunker and you sort of take your stance, take your setup, the number one thing you do is just make sure that club head does not touch the sand.
I mean, in fairness to him, he wasn't in a bunker. He was in a waste area, and you are allowed to
So-
ground your club in a waste area.
well, you can ground
You
your
can
club in
ground your
sand
club.
now. You just can't ground
He's
your
just
club when you're
brushing
addressing the
sand
shot.
back.
No,
But there's I think the
It's
infringement
improving his lie.
Correct. It's an improvement of his lie. Whereas actually, if we're stood in a bunker, say it's a fairway bunker, and you're waiting for the green to clear, you could, in theory, lean on your club in the sand now after the rule changes. But it's a clear move to improve his lie.
Oh, he's absolutely improved his life. I mean, it's impossible to argue that, I think, once you've seen the footage.
The best bit's when it goes over the back as well. He actually plays a half decent shot out in the end.
Of
And the
course he
ball
does. He's
just
got a great
keeps
I'm not
line.
the ball,
surprised. It's
the
sort of-
ball keeps running and running. It's like karma's just keeps going at him.
It's just sitting up. I mean, he's basically got it on a tee. It's
The problem is, I agree with you, Cal, with the PGA stuff. Like, if it's not punished, if it's not seen to be punished, what are the juniors going to think? You know, the kids that are watching this on TV and think, well, that's okay. I suppose I can do it. And what happens if I get caught? Nothing.
Patrick Reed did it. He didn't get punished.
I think that's it.
Some
Like,
people will have that mindset.
we all probably played golf. Well, we all grew up playing golf in the same era, and we were playing in that kind of really that sort of Tiger era. I'd have been 11 years old when Tiger came on the scene, and you know, you have to say most of the people out there set a pretty good example. I think, you know, it's probably, you know, there's always room for improvement all the time, but you look at that now and you think, Christ, if my kid was modelling himself on Patrick Reed, I wouldn't be impressed.
Lose a bit of weight first.
Yeah, I mean, is that directed at me or is that a hypothetical statement?
No, that's for Patrick Reed. If your kid was trying to be Patrick Reed.
For the benefit of our listeners, I could probably do with shedding a few pounds. Feedback's a gift. Any of our listeners.
Bit of cushion. Bit of cushion.
But then you've got Peter Costas recently has been quoted as saying that during his career, reporting on golf, that he's seen Patrick Reed pull out some questionable lies. You know, whether he's gone to it and said, "There's no way you're doing anything but getting a sand wedge out," and then 2 minutes later he's got 3-wood on it.
Oh, he's gone through the bag. I mean, he's had every club behind the ball. And he's just improving his lie with each club he brings out until eventually he can,
I could get a driver at it.
yeah, he could go, dog off the deck behind it.
It's incredible. I think, you know, and also I think, you know, Brooks gets a bit of a slating for kind of how he is with the media. I think that's interesting. I think, I don't know, I quite like the fact that he's pretty candid with the media, whether it's partly, you know, creating his own caricature of himself, being this kind of cool, relaxed, you know, I'll just sort of throw anything out there. I just speak my mind. You know, I've kind of earned my stripes on tour, but actually I quite like it. I think it's quite cool.
Well, I think it was fully deserved. If someone's breaking the rules, then he had every right to call him out.
But he hasn't. These people aren't calling him out on the course, and I think the reason is that when you play golf, say we were playing golf together as a 3-ball, and I see, or you this way, you see me improving my lie. If we're in a comp and you call me out on the 4th hole, I mean let's call it a 2-ball. So say there was two of us playing, and you've called me out in the 4th hole. That's a pretty shitty.
It's pretty tough 14 holes I've got to play
that's
now.
a pretty shit 3 hours you locked in.
The
for
thing
it.
is, I
and
think
then you got to sign the cards at the end and talk to the comp sec, and
that's where it's so different in club golf. Like, you just don't put yourself in environments with those people. Like, you know that's not going to happen. It's a game of honesty. You always say, you know, you cheat at golf, you cheat at life. It's as simple as that, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
You know, you are, particularly in a club format, you are essentially just cheating yourself. I mean, you know, these things, we're not playing for our own livelihoods. These guys are taking money out of each other's pockets by doing that. You know, 2 shots. Now you take that behaviour down to what we were talking about last week on the Challenge Tour, and you think actually, maybe it's one shot in a whole year, and that's the difference between some dude getting on a full European tour card or not. That's genuinely, these guys all of them are making millions. Not saying that makes it right or wrong, but the impact can be incredible
I
at
think that
certain
just
levels
adds
on
to the
tour.
pressure of actually doing it. When it's millions of dollars on the line, or it's the difference between second and third, a few $100,000. But if you think, I'll just pat this down a little bit and I might save myself $100,000 here.
Yeah,
I mean, there's definitely incentive, isn't there?
Yeah, well,
Which is why it should be punished more. It's like theft.
They have a responsibility and a duty to abide by the rules, and these guys should be, everyone's looking up to them, and that's what golf's all about: honesty and integrity, and
and don't forget that half the issue here is, I don't know who's running Patrick's PR. I've got a funny feeling it's the same person who looks after all affairs in his life.
Patrick's wife.
Correct. And there's a good story that we'll probably cut to in a minute. I can see Cal's like jumping around in his seat as I speak. The good PR guy just goes, bang out of line. This needs tackling head on, and it needs dealing with right this minute. Get out there. We're gonna have to tackle it head on in some way, shape, or form that shows like a bit of a kind of I'm sorry. It's just completely silent.
Instead of saying sorry, he just
silence
pretended
is
to
deafening.
dig sandcastles in the President's Cup.
And he's going nowhere
No.
near the interviews. But go on, Cal. You stop jumping around now.
don't know which story. There's quite a few
Isn't it?
with Patrick Reed.
Isn't it Butch?
I know. I mean, there's a few that stick out from last year, I think, which was quite amusing. So I think Patrick was sort of, I think after he won the Masters, he sort of went through a bit of a 6-month slump, and his game wasn't quite there. And anyway, obviously his wife used to be on the bag. She stepped away. Now it's actually his
It's
brother-in-law.
her brother, isn't it?
Anyway, I think she still feels that she needs to get involved and whatever else, which is, if it works for them, fair enough. But one quite amusing one was, so as he's struggling, Mrs. Reed has gone out to and had a word with David Ledbetter, sort of behind Patrick's back, saying, look, my husband is really struggling with his game. Would you mind sort of helping out? Anyway, next day, Patrick's on the range, and Mr. Ledbetter's walked over and just sort of paused and looking over at him and sort of assessing things. And Patrick's gone over and go, hi, David, good to see you. And he was just, can I help you? And he's, yeah, your wife spoke to me yesterday. She wants me to take a look at your swing and see if he can help you. And he's gone, right, okay.
So, I mean, begs the question, where do we go from here? I think there is not a man in the land with two eyes who doesn't seize the issue here. So where do we go from here?
Well, it'll just be interesting to see how that develops over the course of the year, and fingers crossed there's no more incidents. But I think something still needs to be done, from whether it's punishment or.
The PGA Tour is not known for acting on anything, really. I mean, they haven't acted on slow play throughout the whole.
I don't know. I'm pretty sure they targeted like a couple of the smaller guys, the rookies, and
if you're on the fringes, these guys will jump down. I mean, who's the guy who got the penalty, didn't he, with the caddy lining up his putt?
Yeah, correct.
Yeah. I've forgotten the guy's name. But he was a fringe player. It wasn't like they're not going to come down on top 10, top 20 players.
Oh, exactly. They quite happily make examples of rookies and the younger guys, but yeah, it comes to someone like Patrick Reed, they're just. They're not going to go near.
Do you think if Patrick Reed wasn't part of the American side of the Ryder Cup and the President's Cup, that it would have been a different outcome?
I can imagine the flight would have been a bit different. I can imagine it would have been a fairly juicy flight for gossip and chatting that one through.
He doesn't strike me as a guy who's going to fly with the team.
He did, but I don't know how active he is in that. I mean, he just strikes me as a loner. The guy's.
It was Hong Lee.
Hao Tong Lee.
Yeah.
Ah.
Yeah, and from memory, he was up there with a chance to win.
Yeah, he was. It was, final day, definitely. Slapped with a massive penalty. Hugely subjective. It's one of those marginal calls where if it was someone like Rory or if it was Dustin, they wouldn't have gone near it, would they?
Just because his caddy was standing, and there was no intention. You could see it. It was no intention was he trying to line him up at all. He's just had a look at the line. He's actually stepped away, but maybe he stood there for a second longer than he should have been. But it's just ridiculous.
Well, I mean, we'll see how it plays out. It'll be quite interesting to see see the sort of reception he gets back at Augusta this year when he returns. Obviously past champion. There's a huge amount of ceremonies.
Well, he's from that way anyway,
Yeah.
or did his college golf there, didn't he?
In fact, because we're gonna start talking about Mexico, and I really want to get on to Glasgow as well in a bit, because I think that's really interesting. But before we do, we've got to tell listeners we got some very exciting news. The next few weeks podcasts are looking incredible, guys. Thoughts?
Yeah, we got some good guests lined up.
I mean,
We don't want to spoil the surprise.
we're not going to give spoilers, but we've got,
But
we've got.
a famous man once said, "Ignore everything that's said before."
I think we can tease. I think we can tease. I don't think there's anything wrong with
we can
that.
tease. So we've got for you over the next month or so someone who's playing in the US Masters,
This
joining the
year.
pod this year. He is playing in Augusta in April. He's teeing it up. I can't wait to get him on the pod.
That's
The
gonna be
guy
amazing.
sounds like an absolute legend. I'm not going to say any more because our listeners will start to try and
Not
decide
only
who it's
the
gonna
US
be.
Masters,
Open.
US Open.
US Open as well. So, and that will probably have given a few little sort of hints as to who it might be, but we'll let our listeners sort of
Yeah, you can figure that out.
winkle
You can do
around
your own
that one.
research.
And we've got a New York Times best-selling author joining us. And again, I'm not going to say who. He's an outstanding writer. Certainly one of the best books I've read in the last few years. I'm very excited about having him on the pod.
Yeah,
So,
just cut the population down by 50%. So well done there.
well, sorry.
But it's all very exciting, and the pace is picking up.
Yeah, definitely. So we're in Mexico. We're playing at several thousand feet, 7,000 meters above
7,300 feet,
feet
above sea level.
where the air
It's-
is thin and people have headaches.
and it's playing 7,300 yards.
But the course is playing about 6'4", right?
6.4.
I mean,
Take,
that's
take off the 12.5% for altitude, and the course is playing 6.4.
it's absolutely nuts when you look at the distances.
I mean, are we talking like 10% further?
It's
12.
they reckon.
So I pulled it up on online earlier today. They've got a little sort of like yardage book for Rory based on the altitude adjustment. So our Insta followers would have probably seen it. But 60-degree quiz distance.
I've seen it. I'm going to step out.
It's going to be like another 15
Yeah,
yards
it's like
on.
118. He's
60
hitting
degree.
60 degrees.
And
He's
that's
hitting-
not a
That's my driver.
that's not a skull. That is
that's
out of the
that's
centre of the
flush.
club.
That's flush.
That's flush.
9 iron, just a stock 188.
What club's he hitting 200 yards?
Well, he just has to go up to a sort of a 2-finger 8 iron at that stage, I think. Absolutely insane.
It's obscene.
The
The course looks good. I actually think, for a course that's playing 6,400, that's toy time for these boys in terms of distance, and they're not getting.
well,
They're not completely dicking over.
the
are they?
combined stroke below or above par. Yes, they combined for the whole field was over 100 over par, and it's a course that plays 6,400 yards in literal terms. So it just goes to show, the USPGA and the RNA did the report on distance. It's not all about distance. These boys are given a shorter course, and they are not ripping.
I
to
know. I mean,
shreds.
they properly got to feel their way around this course. I mean, you can't just bomb it and wedge. I mean, you can if you're getting it up there, but at the same time, very tree lined. You got some trouble. You miss those fairways and you're under the trees.
Yeah, it's immediate penalty shot.
It's got a bit of a Valderrama feel to it.
Yeah,
Even
definitely.
the pros don't like playing at Valders,
Small, quick greens.
Some
There's
of the pros
there's-
won't even go and practice there. They say it's too hard.
There's a lot of putts missed. You know why?
It's not Poana.
Poana.
They're not Poana.
They are Poana.
Oh, for goodness sake.
That's how they
Maybe
mess
they've worn themselves
Poana.
out in that chat now. But it looks good. I mean, that's the great thing about the PGA this time of year. This swing, the course is Riv, Pebble, and then what's it called? Chapulac, wherever they're playing in Mexico,
Sounds about right.
circa. And the courses they're great to watch visually. They're great. It's great fun events. They're not stupidly long, and I don't see any difference in the scores. So I think it kind of brings it back to the point on the distance we've been talking about recently.
No, I mean, looks like Rory had a great round yesterday, and you got Justin Thomas up there, and
Hey, I cannot tell you how excited I am about Rory. The man is on fire.
if he can keep it together, keep that sort of final round together, then arguably he probably should have won last week, but
Mate, he was 6 under in his round.
you can't argue with his golf. It's
With
Fantastic.
600 in his round, he missed at least 3 shots. He
It's
left
great
at
to
least
see.
3 out there.
And he's starting to go past. I think he's past Faldo now in terms of time spent at world number 1. So
I think he
he's
needs another week at it, but
is
yeah.
it one more week.
Yeah.
So unless Rahm wins and he comes 4th or worse, then he's going to do that.
He's
which
got about
means-
he's got about
I think
250.
since rankings began, that means he's the
Third.
third. So
He's
I think
got
first is
250
Woods,
weeks.
second's Norman, right?
He's got 250 weeks before he gets to Norman. Then he's got another 300 weeks before he gets to Woods.
Could be a pretty edgy
I mean,
5 years.
yeah.
How many years till he gets to Woods? 11, 12 years?
Well, Woods is 650 odd.
But he's
Yeah.
what?
And he's
He's
got 91,
98.
98.
30 years
sounds
old. He's
right.
got a bit of time.
He's going to have to bat right through till about 45.
Oh,
That was
yeah.
world number 1. Punchy, I think. I'm not
I
calling
mean,
it.
but he's just
He can do it.
he just looks so composed and calm. He doesn't. Okay, in Riv, he looked like he was chasing it a bit towards the end, but you have to chase it when it's final day and you need to. Nothing was really going well for him. You got to chase it if you want to win, and you're going to throw in some bogeys if you're really chasing a golf course. But he just looks.
Well,
I've
we'll
got
see.
such a man crush.
It's an exciting. I think it's an exciting time for him. It's a great tournament. You know, season's hotting up. It's looking good.
We've got a few Brits out there as well. Looks like Tyrrell Hatton's back from. I think he had a bit of a wrist surgery around Christmas, so he's back at it. Good to see Westwood up there as well.
Yeah,
Tommy.
Tommy's out there.
Tommy's had a
Correct.
haircut, looking fresh.
Yeah, I mean, he's got. He's had.
annual haircut.
Slightly, it's sort of just below the ears. It's not quite as Bee Gees as he was before, but it's
It's hard to
a little bit
recognize him
more
if you can't see
refined.
it down by the shoulders underneath the cap. You know, it's making life a little bit more difficult apart from the sawn off follow
cross
through.
between the Bee Gees and Jesus, someone like that.
Saw DJ's beard was looking very thick. It looked a little bit. This is England '86, like very wiry, very thick. It looked a bit much. I don't know when Nick Doherty was doing a bit of work with him down on the range, but yeah.
But no, very good event. We're recording this on a Friday, so we've got very little to offer apart from Thursday.
Not
And,
much has changed since Sunday, I'm afraid.
And we are going to turn our attention to some news about some courses in Scotland. So the reason this has come about is that recently there have been 5 courses in South Ayrshire, which for our non-geographically enlightened listeners is Glasgow and the surrounding area.
Scotland.
So it's just Scotland in the UK.
Yeah. Again, for the benefit of those southern hemisphere
That
listeners.
was a Welshman doing his
And
putting
for-
on his best Scottish
and for
accent.
our people who do listen to it in America, the whole island isn't England. There are some other places as well, like Scotland and Wales. And they are closing 5 of the courses in South Ayrshire. And the reason they're doing this is because the council want to save £9 million because they're in a budget deficit of 8.9, and they just need to regain some money somewhere. So there's this to throw it to our boys. There's a problem where they just need to save money and they're closing golf courses. Is that a bad problem?
Easy pickings, right? And I think it's such a shame. And I think there's a couple of angles on this. I think one, UK's got there's a real deep history, particularly in Scotland around the game, the traditions, particularly municipal golf. So I think, you know, the home of golf, the RNA, Old Course, and the whole the St Andrews Links Trust are all municipal golf courses. And I think there's a huge tradition in Scotland around municipal golf.
What's municipal golf course? Just playing.
So for the benefit of anyone outside of the UK as a listener, municipal golf course is not privately owned. It's not private. You'd have to be a private member to play there.
Owned by the council.
Owned by the council. Anyone can pay money to play that golf course. And
Pay and play.
And everyone's on an equal footing,
And
right?
arguably one of the most famous course, the most famous course in the world, arguably, is
Golf
pay
course.
and play.
Yeah, exactly. Other angle, Glasgow, as cities go around the UK, is probably one of the most... I guess it's one of the most impoverished. It's one that, it's got extremely high crime rate. All the stats that would go along with that are not good. And I would argue, as a massive golf fan, as I'm sure we all are, and probably if you listen to this pod, you are as well, I think it's a great sport. I think it's a brilliant sport for youngsters to get into. And I think if you take away municipal golf in those areas, you are taking away an opportunity to spend 3, 6, 9, 12 hours a day in the summer doing something that keeps you out of trouble, gives you a life skill, and something that also brings you on, in life. I'm quite passionate about it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's many life lessons you take away from the game of golf. As we were talking about earlier, it's honesty, integrity, and it's a social game as well.
For me, I found that, so I was quite late to the game of golf, started at the age of 28 when I used to be a teacher. And I used to find that I wasn't in a position when I first started playing golf that I was going to join a golf course. That wasn't where I was at. I used to go to the local muni and go to the range and go to the practice green. And I could because it was there. You know, I wasn't being looked at and saying, "Are you a member here?" No, I'm just hitting some golf balls and trying to learn how to play.
Exactly. And I just think it's a shame. And I think, we don't work in city council. I don't know the numbers, but, it's 9 million. What's the offset of then, what does that actually save in terms of crime and, use going into other things and other things like, knife crime or drugs or anything like that? And actually, is it giving people, activities and things to go and do that? I think there's a really safe argument with that somewhere. And I don't know, I feel worse as well. Scotland's, all over the world. Scotland's renowned for a few things: battered food, whiskey, and golf. And I don't know. I just kind of think when you look at Glasgow as an area, you've got some of the best golf courses on the planet nearby. You've got Prestwick, you've got Troon, you've got Turnberry. There's so much tradition around the area with the game.
And there's so many good golf courses in Scotland you've never heard of.
Oh yeah,
just so
insane.
Good.
Well, we were putting some up on the Insta, weren't we, this week? Like Brora, because
Kilmarnock Brassy.
Oh, class golf course.
Just
Unbelievable.
No one outside of that sort of area. Hardly any people have heard of it. Incredible track.
Sad days. I had to throw my Kilmarnock Brassy jumper away actually today. It just no longer fits. There's a theme in this pod somewhere around my weight gain.
But just to throw a few stats out there, and I'm going to be talking about England only because it's just where I got my stats from. Since 2014, there's been a drop in golf courses from 1,929 to 1,888, which is a 4% drop in golf courses.
And a lot of those are in Scotland.
This is in England only.
But a lot of them are in Scotland as well. There's a huge issue around a lot of them closing, I think, in Scotland specifically as well.
Okay. In that time, the population in England playing golf has gone from 971,700 to 979,500. So it's increased by 8%. So we've had a drop in 4% of golf clubs, but an increase of 8% in playing membership. Now, this kind of begs the question, really. Is this a case of golf course natural selection, where we are getting rid of the dross golf courses and putting more members into the better ones?
I think it's a good question. Is it becoming more of a pursuit for middle class people who want to be a member, who want to be weekend golfers? And are we taking away the grassroots part of the game? And, also then where are some of those golfers coming from? Because it's interesting. You think 8% increase in playership and a decline in number of courses. It doesn't add up, does it?
Well, what it sounds like is that most golf courses don't have a full membership. And, you need a full membership if you're going to keep the golf track running. Again, municipal slightly different because it's council run, but for the privately owned golf courses, you need full membership if you're going to keep the course running and up to scratch. And if you don't get it, then you're going to fold.
And also, we've got a really different model in this country. So, our friends and our listeners in America will look at this completely differently because there are some golf courses anyone can play. Those are municipal golf courses. Bethpage, really good municipal golf course out in New York.
Fantastic.
Sawgrass.
Yeah.
Is that just the one course there, or have they got?
Oh, it's tons, aren't they?
They've got a good handful.
Yeah, they're all
they?
colour coded, aren't they? I mean,
Yeah.
obviously, black's the favourite one.
Are they color coded for ski slopes? Is that?
Yeah, I
think
think
that's the
black
idea.
is treated very much enter at your own risk.
Yeah.
But is
Yeah.
it explicitly to be like ski slopes?
I think so. It's a huge complex. I've got a feeling that there's I don't
Maybe
know,
some of our
5, 6
American
or
listeners
7.
can fire over to us on at Cookie Jar Golf on Twitter.
But then
or
there's
Instagram.
loads of courses you physically cannot get on, and that's totally different to the UK model. The UK model, there may be a few that are uber private, but the vast majority, even all of our open venues, anyone can turn up and pay a green fee. And I think for a lot of people around the world, that's just like an unbelievable luxury. They can't believe that you can turn up and play, I don't know, like Royal Birkdale at £250, or go to Turnberry and pay the green fee there.
Well, Trump timber is now a lot more expensive than it used to be.
Yeah, obviously.
But just going with the sticking with the stats, I've got a final stat for you here. That although playing membership has increased by 8%, the participation of children in the last 10 years has dropped from for 5 to 10-year-olds has dropped by 0.3%, and from 11 to 15-year-olds has dropped by 2% of children playing the game, which I think is just
Sad.
well, it's killer, isn't it? I mean, it's grassroots. If you haven't got the kids playing, you're not getting anything.
And I think that's the thing that we've got to, look at.
And I think-
it'll come in phases. I think there's other things out there that will compete with golf, and I mean, yeah, going back to what we were saying, it's you've got municipals and startup courses and all of this shutting, then it does have an effect. But I think most courses you see around these days, most teams have a pretty solid junior section. There's a lot of and fair play to the PGA pros out there who are doing sort of junior camps and junior coaching at the weekends. And
Well, Rob Rock does a huge amount, doesn't he? So not far from us, just north of Birmingham. He's
got some good pros on his books as well, hasn't he?
Well, he's obviously coaching. Yeah, you're right. So
He's
he's doing
still
all
playing.
of that and playing as well.
Yeah.
I mean, remember he
He's a hero.
shot some insane score in the Irish Open last year, didn't he?
yeah, exactly. But and as you say, yeah, he's got his Robert Rock sort of junior academies, and there's I think he's pretty much got monthly tournaments they can
I think
all enter
Westwood
for
might be on
different
with
age
Rock now.
groups. And
Is Westwood on with Rock now?
Not sure.
I think Westwood might be wrong. I'm happy to be proven wrong on that one. But just while we're on the PGA Pros, there's a guy, and I apologize if I got this wrong already. Thomas Devine was the guy that was came out last year in the summer as being like, I do not give a fuck what kids wear as long as they're on the golf course. So we had like hoodies, jeans, didn't care, and he was like, I don't care what they wear. We can teach them how they dress, and we can teach them the etiquette later. But as long as they're swinging a club and they enjoy it, they should be there.
And the interest is the main thing, isn't it? So, and I don't know. We'll see where this goes. Like, maybe it'll go in phases. Maybe they'll come back. My experience tells me that in the UK, once you start giving over land, it typically ends up in the hands of sort of private landlords who turn it into private residential or commercial buildings. There are some brilliant courses out there. We talk, about golf courses. If you tell me what's the type of golf you enjoy playing the least, it's championship, par 72, hotel-owned, parkland, golf courses with a water feature on. I bet you there are amazing municipal golf courses up and down this country, some of which are completely and utterly forgotten about. And I think, it just begs the question, is there, what's the role of that in the future years?
Well, I think there's some highly celebrated championship golf courses that if you asked some of our American listeners or some of our listeners that aren't from the Midlands, what courses do you want to play in the UK? And they come back at you and say, Belfry.
Every time.
I mean, the Belfry, yeah, it's had the most Ryder Cups of any
I don't know
course.
how high up that is anymore.
I think it's still
high,
in the
man.
top 100.
Everyone
But
wants to hit
it's
70
just
shot down the
mad.
10th.
It's mad being in the Midlands and someone says to you, oh, you play golf? Have you played the Belfry? And you're like, yeah.
I've been
And it's
bored out my
absolute
tits.
It's
garbage, mate.
boring.
It's absolute garbage. Like, there's a municipal near us. It's called Licky Hills Golf Club. It's actually quite an interesting, cool, quirky, fun layout. You can go out and have some fun around there. You can get around quickly.
Absolutely.
It's so
You
much
can have
more
a few
fun.
beers.
And it's like, I don't know, links golf. There's so much land on the shore that's not fully tapped in the UK where you can just drop a golf course in quite easily.
Well, here's an interesting one. So I, a couple of years back, played up a golf course called St. Bees. Any of you boys had a chance to play St.
Never
Bees?
heard of it.
Okay, it's owned and operated by a school, the St. Bees School. It's in Cumbria. And it's a links course. And it's 9 holes, but they've got 2 different tee boxes, which are miles away from each other, so you can play 18 holes from different places. The financial model is there is a shed as you get onto the first tee, and you can walk into this shed and you fill out an honesty piece of paper and you drop your money into an honesty box and you go play it. It's like 15
How cool is
quid.
that?
And there's no,
There's quite a few like that. I remember
Ireland's littered with them.
being on tour, I think, doing a little Welsh tour, so sort of Royal St. David's and Abu Dhabi, and there's a couple of tracks, as you say, like that, municipal courses where they just operate on pretty much through an honesty box.
And one guy's like
And
an
it's just-
artisan that sort of like goes out and does some
Exactly.
of the work. One day he might be going out and picking up sheep dung. The next day he's out cutting the greens.
But
And
they're brilliant layouts. I mean,
the
you
kids
really
are
have to
playing all
think your
day.
way around.
Yeah.
And for like learning sort of shot making and everything else, they're fantastic.
It's just so much more interesting than standing on the tee and thinking, right, how big's the signpost by the tee that tells me this is another 430-yard par 4 over water, and this is where, I don't know, the PGA pros once teed it up. I just think that's dull. I think it's not exciting. Some of these places are really cool, well-crafted links, just really quirky holes.
And of course, you've got this new sort of thing that's coming out in the UK. I'm not sure if it's well known other places, but there may be many other clubs that offer this. But I know Somerset Golf Club is starting to do it. £1 membership, and then pay and play. The idea is you member for your quid, you get your access to a handicap, and then you can play as you want, and that way you can make it as affordable. Or I mean, I'm sure they do other types of membership as well, but you can make it as affordable or unaffordable as you want to make it.
And that's where world handicap system is going to start to come in, because the whole thinking is everyone can then have a handicap. They can, so I think some steps by the RNA are really positive. I think bringing that in is going to be useful. Just got to have the courses right. So I think the point was, it's concerning the trend we've got in terms of course closures. We want the game needs to be as accessible for as many people as possible. And if that means that there's more municipals with honesty boxes, I don't see that as being a bad thing for the game whatsoever.
Absolutely. I think long may it continue, and obviously sad news that a few are having to close, but that's just how it goes. But if they can stay open and operate through honesty boxes, fantastic.
And while we're on to world handicap system, it's all going to change in the next, it's November for the British golfers amongst us. We're all of the opinion that our handicaps are going to change slightly. Cal, do you have an idea what yours is going to go up or down?
I think I'm going from 5 to scratch.
Is yours just going to go straight down?
Which,
Are you planning on shooting par at any time to do that, Cal, or is that just going to happen by divine intervention?
In my sleep.
Well, the reason I ask is because I happen to know that a certain Sam Williams has calculated exactly what he's going to be.
You can't chuck this out on here.
So for those of you that aren't going to know, it's
far too much time on
I
his
look like
hands.
the guy who's flexing his biceps in the mirror in the morning.
There's how it's going to change over is from, instead of for the British version where you play, and if you don't buffer you go up 0.1, and then if you come down by a sort of a point of your category or whatever.
You
It's
come
going to
down
go
by
to
0.2, don't you? A shot.
I would come down by 0.2 because I'm category 2, still single thing handicapper. But how it's going to work in the future is the best 8 of the last 20. So Sam has just kept a very honest.
I just want to know
where
where the
he's
numbers
at.
are at. It's like,
So
when you
it's
know your
Out
numbers.
of interest, where did you come out?
So it's lower. So I think I don't know. The RNA reckon that if
About
you
17.
Yeah, 17, just under that. The RNA reckon your category 1 golfers will probably come in slightly through it. I think maybe that's a reflection of consistency or something that you're supposed to have in that category. Anything then up to about 12 or 14 will stay largely similar. There'll clearly be some fluctuations depending on trend of the golfer and where they're at in that patch. And then higher handicaps will all go up. I think the highest handicap goes up to 54.
It's something obscene.
Highest one. I mean,
Can you imagine getting 3 shots on a
full
hole?
shot allowance in a match play tournament, 54.
I think the difference in shots are going to
That's
change as well. But like,
insane.
All credit to the 54 handicappers out there.
I mean,
It's
a good friend of mine has
That's a
always
long
said
round.
grown men should not receive 2 shots on a golf hole or a shot on a par 5 in a match play event. And I think there's a lot of truth in that.
but people have got to start somewhere, and if it's 54, so be it.
hang on, what do you mean you can't get a shot in a par 5?
Well, in match play, I don't know, I think,
No, we're taking shots wherever they come. I do not care what the par is.
well, anyway, I think there's some truth in 2 shots on a hole, but anyway.
Okay, before we go today, guys, got anything planned this weekend?
Yeah. So I think,
We got a few little tours between us.
yeah, so I think me and Cal are going down the shore, aren't we? I'm going into Wales, so I've got my passport packed and everything. I'm off down to go and play a little bit at...
Well, you can save your money because you don't have to pay to go to the bridge anymore.
okay, that's good. Good to know.
Cash back.
And they don't charge you coming out either anymore?
Nope.
Well, anyway.
Charge has gone completely over the Severn Bridge.
So going down to Rawporth Call, hosted the Walker Cup back when Woods was an amateur. Really cool. Some great pictures of him on the walls there.
Senior US Open.
Senior
Open,
not the
champ.
Senior US Open. I think. Senior Open.
Senior British Open.
So yeah, doing that and then going to watch Wales play France down at Millennium. Cal?
I am off down to the Kent coast, so down to Deal, Royal St Ports. It's 4 of us going down there, sort of 36 holes of foursomes tomorrow, and a bit of singles Sunday morning with a bit of lunch in between and whatever else. So that'll
Bit of a
be
boozy lunch.
I think we're looking somewhere between 25 mile an hour and 40 mile an hour winds. But apart from that, I think it's dry, so it'll be good fun. There'll be
It's just
plenty
going to
of
be nice not just playing in rain.
Oh,
like
absolutely.
sand-based courses like that. It's just a dream,
You know,
isn't it?
we'll pack some 2-iron stingers in the back pocket and off we go.
Quick question for you. Links, harder in the winter when it's cold, possibly raining more likely, ball's not going as far, or in the summer when it's hard, bouncy?
Hard. Summer. Hard.
You think it's harder? Yeah, I'd agree.
Yeah, I mean, you're
You've got any sort of softness on links, it's
It becomes
it's
a bit
fun.
easier.
It's just target golf, but certainly in the summer when the ball's running, you've got to take that into consideration, and you're almost clubbing backwards, just trying to run it in there.
Yeah.
Same off the tee, you're sort of running. You can get up to sort of 100 yards worth of run, and you're running off into the these little pot bunkers and everything else. And
links.
Hard
Links.
work.
I know this is off topic. Links
Roughs up.
bunkers are what bunkers should be. They are shot penalties. You're in them. They're pots. You get out. It's like you're not. It's not like the PGA bunkers where you go in them and you're thinking, yeah, I can still make the green from 200 yards.
Yeah, I mean, they're the perfect defence, aren't they? They just work brilliantly. The fact that you've got to be so careful on the line, and the fact that the ball runs for like a fortnight when it lands, it's just so dangerous. When as soon as you hit those fairway bunkers, you're absolutely dead. And then some of the courses, the greenside bunkers, are just unbelievable. Like the depth of them and the complexity to get out and the
Well,
smallness.
when Tiger went around Hoylake, he was famous for never taking a wood out of his bag.
Yeah.
He was just like nodding 2 irons and 1 irons and whatever else he was doing.
bowling 4 irons from middle of the fairway, and
13th, 12th.
yeah, I think so.
Don't forget
12,
that.
13.
Don't forget as well when you won at St Andrews. I think it was 05. Might be wrong. We'll have to stat check that one. Otherwise, we're hitting the yellow button on that one. Didn't go in a fairway bunker. Didn't go in a bunker all week around the old, which is just unbelievable.
Is there a lot of bunkers around the old?
Yeah, I mean it's just like
It's
to not
left
go in
everywhere.
a bunker for an entire open.
Yeah.
I mean it's pretty
Just a minefield.
pretty special. That I mean, it is. It's like ducking like landmines.
But
It's
it is
incredible.
straight out, straight back,
True.
playable,
Very playable. Good fun.
good fun.
Guys, that's it for this week. Thank you very much. Thanks for all your feedback, as we say, and have a good week.
Please do give us some more feedback. You can get us on at Cookie Jar Golf on Instagram and Twitter, or you can get us on email at cookiejargolf@gmail.com. Please do get in touch. We really appreciate all of your support, and we'll see you next time.
Have a great weekend.
Adios.
Watch this.